Welcome back to episode 4 of the 5-chapter rule. This week it is Stars, although the title technically is ST and RS, but copyrights and stuff. This manga is authored by I'm gonna butcher the name because I'm terrible with names.
Kikuchi Ryosuke.
There you go. Most people may know him as the guy who did the manga adaptation of the novel All You Need Is Kill. And if you don't know that novel, it is the same novel that the Tom Cruise movie The Edge of Tomorrow is adapted from. It's a really good manga adaptation of it. Really would recommend it. And he's currently doing
Moriarty the Patriot
manga. And I believe you said it was anime as well now.
Yokoku no Moriarty is the Japanese version. It's still ongoing, and I think it's got 2 seasons, yeah.
So he's thankfully doing well for me. This one seems to be a bit more obscure of his works. It's only a 39-chapter series, this Stars, but they're not short chapters, though. They're quite long ones.
I just quickly checked it. Moriarty the Patriot is 24 episodes and 2 OVAs.
Oh, very good for him. Very good.
24 episodes now. It's great.
That's very good.
Credit to him.
You always sometimes see some guys and ladies who should get further and get the things, and they just don't get anything. Siren comes to mind on that one. But anyway, this is only tags for this one is school life, sci-fi, and shonen. So it's more focused on the school aspect so far from what we're seeing.
It's also completed.
It is complete. It's only 39 chapters long. It's a nice, I would say short, but considering like monthly chapters.
The first chapter is really long.
Yeah, it probably would be probably 3 chapters per book, I would probably think. So probably be quite a few books. I don't know if it has book volumes. I haven't seen any book volumes in English. We've had to read it off the line. But we'll get into the start for this. The blurb for the brief story summary for this manga is as follows. On August 10th of 2019, humanity received a signal, which was verified for its integrity by hundreds of scientists from an alien life form containing one message. Let us meet on Mars on July 7th, 2035. Thus began the creation of the space agency representing Earth as a whole, named Stars. From there, things progressed quickly from man re-landing on the moon in 22 and constructing many space stations orbiting Earth and the Moon. The Space Academy was created to train the upcoming generation of stars. The same August 10th that Earth received the message, Maho spoke his first words, and it was Mars. Since then, Maho has been an astronomy freak who has nothing but the universe on his mind. He decides he's going to apply for the Space Academy along with his childhood friend, Hoshihara. Can you pronounce the names for?
Hoshihara Meguru.
And recent transfer and super smart classmate Amachi Wataru. The trio begins their almost impossible journey of being accepted into school where only 1% of the applicants are allowed to into the academy.
So it goes by standard shonen tropes of basically the smart guy, the risk taker guy, and the lady, which is
the token female.
It's standard. It's fine.
It's actually, to be fair, it's actually quite a good brief story summary of
that is a really good description.
Because you sometimes read some of these brief story summaries and they come out nothing like what the series is.
And this came out, I believe, in 2016.
Not even that old.
It says here updated 2016.
Yeah, it was a quick run by an Oxford. So for me, the plot for the first 5 chapters, I guess, the first chapter personally, I think, does a quite good job explaining what has been put in place in response to the alien signal. And I think this manga also does a good job making it clear that there's something mysterious happening. You know, the tests that the characters have to do for Space Academy are well explained. And to be fair, I would say it's quite grounded in reality, which can be a nice change for some of these like shonen ones. But how's your opinion of how the plot is for these first 5 chapters? Do you think it does a good job?
Right, so I've got here that chapter 1 is really long, so it will take you a while to get through because it's got all the setup that you'd need for future things.
It's very detailed. I prefer it to be detailed than to be sparse, admittedly.
Yeah, and then it introduces the... I wrote here, which may or may not be correct eventually, but generic smart-ass rival.
I've got more things to say about that when we get to the character section.
When I started chapter 1. I didn't write it afterwards. It's as I was going through. So
yeah,
I put it seems to have a chosen protagonist, which is odd in a fairly realistic world.
Yes, that is an interesting point. We very much have this that's the whole bit I was getting to, the mysterious. I'm not about trying to spoil too much. There is definitely this kind of the chosen one. Maybe potentially the mysterious bit of the fact that at the moment that the message was received, the guy spoke his first word being Mars. So I'm guessing there's some kind of the alien signal kind of reached his brain or something.
And since we're only in the first 5 chapters, we don't know if this goes into generic battle shonen or it's all psychological. We don't know.
I'm assuming by the tags that it's going to be more of the psychological rather than actual battle.
Yeah. Well,
we haven't actually seen
Moriarty
and
the others, so
he
has done Moriarty and the other ones, so it is more a psychological, most likely.
I mean, all you need is kills for your battle manga, but yeah.
My next one was they seem oddly chipper and happy about potential threats from space people.
I mean, the message is let's meet on Mars.
Yeah, but I also easily put here that is an oddly easily decoded message. Because they said in, I think, chapter 3 or 4, that the only 2 words they decoded perfectly were child and strength. So who knows if they even did the coordinates right?
That's the thing. Again, this is where the mystery part, I think, comes in. There's definitely a kind of mystery angle to it, which I guess makes sense because he's done the Moriarty manga at the moment. So there's definitely something to continue reading. It's not just, kids learning to be academy. It's definitely... I'm not sure sinister yet. It could be complete innocent, but there's definitely something we're not being informed of.
Which is why I also put they could have possibly just gone to Mars anyway and set up bases in preparation, but that I don't know about that.
Well, I guess the thing is maybe Mars would take a lot longer to do stuff on, so the moon's easily reachable, but let's be honest, we haven't sent anyone to Mars yet. So it would probably take a bit more doing. So,
but they've also got them machines, so technically they don't even need to go.
Aye. Well, that's the thing is, there's definitely something about meeting alien races. We'll have to see.
And it is 39 chapters, so it's not a long read if you wanted to read it all.
No. So we're both in agreement that the plot, at least for the first 5 chapters, does a good job.
It does a lot of setup.
It's a lot of setup, but it at the same time doesn't feel like it's too much of a drag or...
Well, they're currently in chapter 5 on their training arc.
Yes.
I would have assumed it went from training arc then to potential time skip, but I don't know if it would.
That's a good thought, actually. Yeah, time skip. Because
they had 16 or so, you wouldn't send them into space.
So it was the message was sent on 2019, and it's set for at age of like what 2 or 3, whatever he is. So it's and they're 16 when they go to the academy. So 14 years from 2019 would be what 34.
It says here meet on Mars on 2035. So
yeah, so the current year the manga's taking place would be 2034, 2033.
Yeah.
So
he'd be back, basically bang on 18.
There can't be much of a time skip then, can there?
But it depends, because certain series don't want to show you the times. They don't want to show you them training and just say, "Oh, he learned this over the time skip." It just depends on the series.
I'm guessing so far from what we've seen of the last chapters, they might actually show you quite a lot of the training. And if it's going to be more of a school manga, that would make sense. So, move on from the plot bit to characters. So, let's start off with Maoho. For me, he's very much the typical loudmouth, hyperactive protagonist, very Naruto-like. His obsession with space is quite obnoxious like other characters. But as I mentioned earlier, there's very strong hints that a lot of his obsession with space is not natural. There's something...
and he has a superpower of knowing where things are and stuff. If I remember it right.
Yeah, the space...
awareness and stuff, yeah.
Space awareness, yeah.
That's like his superpower, I suppose.
Yeah, super heightened space awareness. So there's something very weird about that. But he, like I say, I think he's very Naruto-like. What do you think?
He is kind of, yeah. It's just getting... It doesn't like state what's driving him really right now, other than just I must go to space.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But very like unnatural obsession. It's very one-track minded, which I guess you could see where it might be pretentious.
But it's also odd that if he wanted to go to space that much, he didn't train the skills that he'd necessarily need.
I mean, he's a teenager.
Yeah, you meet a lot of other teenagers as well, and they're a lot more trained.
Yeah, they're a lot more trained, yeah.
Like this guy, like even the Sasuke-ish character is really smart. He could have done something like that too.
Which is why I think that Mayho's his whole thing about space isn't his own thoughts.
It does seem to be like that, yeah.
It's very like he's being forced into this path by some kind of probably the aliens. So that's where the interesting mystery bit comes into play. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, so chapter 4, I think it's 4 and 5, we're doing the cool training arc stuff. So I'd assume they'd probably do a couple more chapters of that. And then the space bit will start, but I might have a go later. Alright, so what's we got next?
So next would be the guy we just mentioned, Wataru
Amachi.
He's very much, as you said earlier, the typical smart and gifted, cool as a cucumber rival. Although he's not a jerk, as other manga normally puts him. He reminds me of Yuno from Black Clover.
Yuno is just a chill dude.
Yeah, very much. He's also a massive space fan, but he can articulate what he wants to say.
Yeah, because the main character wouldn't have been able to get into the Space Academy unless this character just happened to pass it already and had a pass for 3 people, which he did.
Yeah, because he actually applied for the academy unlike the other 2 did.
But he's got like an odd home life as well, because it's like his dad doesn't want him to do it. You can tell. So that's part of his arc as well.
His dad's a very stereotypical Asian dad who wants him to be a doctor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was funny when I thought about it. He really is a Yuno type of character. It really is.
I mean, it'll literally be on screen because I'll have these images up when we're going through it anyway.
So the final of our main trio is Meguru. Meguru?
Yeah, Meguru, yeah.
She's our Sakura of our group. If Sakura was written better. She's intelligent and logical, Also, it's clear that she has some romantic feelings.
Yeah, because it is odd she went to the Space Academy at all, considering she had no fondness for space.
Well, it was purely because of Mayho.
Yeah,
she's got a bit of a what's the word? Not Tsunade, Tsundere.
Yeah,
bit of a Tsundere percent.
here's a little.
But we don't see much of what she can do yet. I'm assuming she's gonna be a bit more relevant as we get on.
In the exams, she was the communicator, I believe.
Yes, she was a communicator. Very much again like early Sakura was.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that her writing of the characters doesn't just drop off a
But this
cliff.
is the Moriarty guy. He knows how to write.
See, I haven't actually read Moriarty yet.
It's actually really good. You can just watch it. It's only 24 episodes.
Yeah, might do. So the final, I'll say, of the main characters, because there's some other characters, but they haven't got much work to them yet. There's clearly some astronauts who are going to become far more important later, but one of the key characters so far is Fifi Collins.
Yes.
Who is considered a child prodigy in the astronomical world.
Because her and her granddad were the ones who found the signal.
Apparently, if I remember correctly, she was the one who discovered it. Her granddad helped her identify it, but yeah, she was the one who actually discovered it, read it out in front of the whole world. And now she's the principal of the Space Academy.
Yeah.
And she's doing all the training. She's actually the one who encouraged these younger people to take part. So I'm guessing it kind of hints that she knows more, because there's some parts of the message which wasn't revealed to everyone else. So she knows there's something more to the message. So that's why she's probably getting the kids involved.
Well, the message was what? Child and space, was it? Strength and child. So she would have known by that she needs to recruit younger people.
Potentially. But unlike, one thing I really liked about this character was, unlike many prodigy characters that you've seen in the mangas, Fifi is actually a very, very warm character, which is a nice contrast to how the super intelligent are often portrayed as this robotic, emotionless person, or just a plain a-hole. But she actually comes across as like a really nice person.
However, I've read enough to be incredibly suspicious by completely nice people.
I mean,
it's a psychological show. It's highly possible that she got a part of the message. She knows, and she has to recruit these people.
Could be.
I ain't got that far.
Yeah. I'm still expecting more of a warm part, but like I say, it could have like a twist. Like, I was gonna say, like, All You Need Is Kill, but All You Need Is Kill technically was written by someone else. He just did the adaptation, I guess. As I said, other characters, just some other trainees who are clearly going to have more of a bigger role as the manga goes on. We had these Russian ones, I think, astronauts, who are a trio as well, but I think they're going to just have more later on. Because we're doing the first 5, we don't have much to say on them.
They're just like the first Japanese guy to go into space, she's a fan of. So that's her main reason to go into this academy, which they've stated isn't just for Japan, it's for everywhere.
Oh yes, because they asked the Russian characters why they didn't go to Russian space academy. Yeah.
And she's like, there is one, it's just that this academy is the best one, because Fifi's there.
So before I get into the... Oh yes, because Fifi, yeah. Before I get into the mech section of art, is there anything else you want to say about the characters?
Let's see, let me get up my little notes.
Being unprofessional here.
I've only got 2 screens, it's fine.
I've only got 1 screen.
No, I've got no else on characters.
Fair enough. So we'll go on to art. The art for this, there's limited background detail in most panels, But then sometimes we do get these big, giant, openly detailed backgrounds for these like big show-off panels.
Well, all the details I've found is just one guy. He writ and drew this.
So
that's potentially why his art's a little. I mean, it's still fairly well drawn.
It's sparse in the backgrounds, but the characters have a nice level of detail to them. You know, the motions come through quite well in the faces, which is very important for this type of manga where it's more focused on the people.
Yeah, it's more mind battles than actual battles, so you don't need the background really to take away the information from the text boxes.
Mind battles. Well, it's the Crystal Maze.
In shonen, you can get battle shonen and mind shonen like Death Note.
Yeah, I guess I would. Fair enough. So that's all right. I don't have an issue with it. So design-wise, our protagonists are just kind of wearing realistic clothing, you know, general school uniform, general clothes. Not much to really say when it's just generic stuff that you would see in natural shops.
They have designed some spacesuits though that look more futuristic than normal.
One thing I noticed is the characters' faces do remind me of other manga art styles. They're very much like the faces seem a bit like a generic style of faces, because I'm like, I've seen that in this manga and that manga and this manga. So, but they're fine. The detail on them is fine. No issue there. Anything else you want to say in the art or design section?
They've tried to go for more of a realistic style, but they've got some fantasy elements as well, sort of like the giant space boat thing, the sleeping monolith. They have that looks pretty cool. And they've got for the exam, they've got they link to a machine in space, which they have technology to make now. But it also says that, I think in chapter 1 or 2, that a lot of Earth's resources pooled together for this project. So it's plausible.
Pretty much all the world's nations agreed on this place, because they need to work together to make it a reality. So I guess the final question of this episode is: would we read more? My personal opinion, it's only a 39 chapter manga. It's so far seems to be quite a nice light-hearted
We could also ask
manga.
the question of would we recommend it as well?
I'll get to that in a sec. I've considered it to be a nice light-hearted manga, so it would be a nice read when you want something which isn't dark. I have no reason not to finish it. It's just a nice little mystery manga.
You will have to take a bit of time to read it all though, because it does take a lot of text to sink in.
Yeah, but it's one you could easily just do a bit of every now and then.
It's 39 chapters, which would be what? 7 volumes?
Depends on the length of the chapters.
Yeah, usually about 8 or 9 volumes a book-ish. I'd probably read ahead, but I don't know how it's going to end, because right at the beginning, it doesn't state... I mean, it says it's a shonen, but it hasn't got a lot of elements in there yet. I don't know how it would potentially go on.
I don't think it'll be much of an action. I think it'll be more of a character development one.
It'll be a psychological one, yeah.
But I've enjoyed this one. I would recommend it. I if you want something a bit more lighthearted or something a bit more such. I mean, I can't really think of many space manga which aren't involved with which isn't Gundam blowing people up or alien fighting. One where it's more focused on learning stuff like that. A realistic space manga. I can't really think of any off the top of my head.
Can
you?
Not really, no. I will say to people who are watching this one though, if people want us to, we can read it all and review it as well.
That'll take a lot of doing.
It'll take a lot of doing, but it'll be cool. I don't mind doing reviews of like nice series like this.
Send us 20 in the post.
It's all good. I'd recommend it. It's pretty good.
So that is the end of this episode.
Well, the only thing that I wouldn't be happy with is if it got to the end and then added tons of random fantasy elements, considering how realistic it is. That's the only thing that would put it off for me.
We'll have to see what
it's one of them things you're gonna have to see about, yeah.
So this will be the end of this episode. The next episode is Babel. So we'll get on that one as soon as.
Yeah, disclaimer: that is definitely a mature series.
Yes, well, like I say, I'll mention
I did a bit of research. It is a mature series, so
I'll mention at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
So until next time, goodbye.
Yeah, see you later.